All right, moving right along to the second workout. Here we go. So for your warm-up, you're going to do 10 jumping jacks, 10 squats. We haven't done squats before, just regular squats. So you want your feet pointed forward. Might feel a little pigeon-toed at first. And on a squat, I'm going to show you from the side first. You're going to sit way back. Drop that booty way back. I don't want you leaning forward. Your shoulders should never be lower than your hips, okay? You'll have to lean forward a little bit to counterbalance. But you want to be sitting way back into that squat and come up. Also, I like to physically lift my toes off the floor. It helps me remember to keep all of my weight in my heels. All of your weight should be in your heels in a squat. So if it helps you, lift those toes off the floor and sit back and watch your knees. You don't want them bowing in or out. At any point during the squat, the knee should stay in line with that second toe through the whole movement. Okay, so 10 of those. Front kicks. All right, front kicks are nice and slow and controlled. If you haven't done front kicks before, start with a knee raise. Okay, notice the angle of my body is a little bit angled backwards. All right, start with a knee raise. When you're comfortable with that, add the kick. The kick is a knee raise with an extension of the leg. I don't want anybody hurting their knees. So this is nice and slow and controlled. Also, avoid bending into that kick. We have a tendency to want to lean into a kick. Let your body go a little bit back so that you're in line with the top part of that base leg. All right, and then skiers. Just jumping side to side. Gonna go skiing on the basement floor. So rotate those hips, squeeze your core, and control the rotation of your hips through your abs. Use your abs to control it, okay? All right, then you're gonna do as many rounds as you can. So you can rest as you need to, you can take breaks as you need to, set the timer for 9 minutes, and start working through these exercises. All right, push-ups we've demonstrated before. Just a reminder, you are trying to get your chest to the ground, not your face. As you start to progress through push-ups and you want to start tackling push-ups with your knees off the ground, most of us will start with our knees on the ground. A great way to start training for that is to start with your knees off the ground, lower yourself all the way to the ground slowly, put your knees down to push back up. All right? And then eventually you'll get to the point where you can do a push-up with your feet on your feet and with your knees off the floor. But you can start training that way. Okay, tricep push-ups. These are a little awkward at first if you've never done them. So you're gonna sit on your side, like you're posing for a swimsuit ad, right? And this arm that you're leaning on, you're actually gonna take the other arm, put it down in front of you, and let go with this arm, cross over and grab your shoulder. Okay, and then you're gonna lower yourself down to the ground. Do not let yourself lay down on the ground or you may never get up again. You're gonna use that arm to push yourself up, okay? And it's working the muscle that runs along the back of your arms, your tricep muscles. So, hand placement in this exercise is very important. As you get closer to your body and closer to your hip as opposed to your head, it becomes much more challenging. All right, so the hand placement here is the most challenging. You're going to be using the most of your tricep. And then to modify it, to make it less challenging, you move your hand up toward your head and away from your body so that you're doing a tricep push-up like this, okay? So you can play around with that hand movement. You want your knees, ankles, and hips stacked, meaning that you are not letting your hips rotate, you're not letting your legs cross over each other. You want them as straight as you can handle it. There'll be a slight bend, and everything's stacked on top, so you are laying perfectly on your side to do this. And then you'll switch and do the other side. All right. Then we have single leg hammer curls. Okay, so hammer curls, you're going to start in the same position, and you're just going to curl the dumbbells straight up. So instead of rotating like a regular bicep curl to where your palms are facing you at the top, they're just going to stay facing each other throughout the whole movement. And single leg just means standing on one leg. So you can just raise that leg a couple inches off the ground to make it more challenging, to engage more of that core. Bring it up, curl those hips under, bring the knee all the way up to 90 degrees, and do it that way, and you'll be engaging a lot more of your core throughout that. All right. And then we have, and you're going to do 9 single leg hammer curls for each leg. And then 9 burpees. And you remember burpees, just don't forget your modifications. You can step out in the burpee and you can step back in. All right, then we're going to go to renegade rows. So you're going to have weights on this. You can start without weights and then add weights later. But you're going to be doing a plank on those weights. You're going to pull them up and alternate those. Pull them up to each side. To modify this, put your knees down. Whether your knees are down or not, watch those hips and keep them parallel with the floor. It is very, very challenging on your core. So when you pull that arm up, you don't want to tilt your whole body to the side like that. You want to keep everything facing the floor, and it's just your elbow coming up and pull. You're squeezing, squeezing, squeezing with that elbow. So this works a lot of your core and then also your back. All right, then you're going to do skull crushers. So you're laying flat on the ground, weight overhead like this. You're going to lower it toward your forehead and lift back up. For the skull crushers, your elbows are a hinge. And so from here, this is what it looks like. Your elbows stay in the same spot, in the same position. They stay close together. And you're just lowering that towards your head and pushing back up, laying flat on the floor. All right, so we've got skull crushers, reverse flies. Okay, so you're going to bend over slightly. I'm going to show you the position. And you're going to start with your arms in front of you, but you see how I pull those shoulder blades back. They are always pulled back, okay? The farther over you bend, the more challenging it is. I'm going to show you from the front. You're going to bring those arms straight back. There is a slight bend in the elbow, slight, not very much at all, okay? Kind of like Batman. We're flying. Oh, shoulder blades are squeezed the whole time, squeezed extra hard at the top of that movement. Then we have mountain climbers. Remember, keep your hips steady. And remember your modifications. You can just step in and out. You do not have to jump in and out right away. Okay, then we're going to do, I call these military push-ups, not because they do them in the military, but because it mimics a military press, which is just a shoulder press. So for the military push-up, you're up on your toes, okay? You're going to lower the crown of your head to the ground and push back up. This is working your shoulders. You can do this from your knees, but it drastically alters the intensity. Not like a regular push-up where when you put your knees down, it only slightly alters the intensity. So I discourage going to your knees unless you absolutely have to. To modify it, just don't go very deep. So stay up on those toes, lower that head toward the floor, and push back up. If you have to drop to your knees, you have to drop to your knees, but try not to. Okay, then we have single leg lateral bicep curls. Okay, so this one, same thing with the single leg, but a lateral bicep curl is curling those weights out. So your palms stay facing away from you the entire time. And single leg bent over rows. Okay, so then you're going to be on one leg, and you want your back in line with your leg. So the farther over you bend, the higher that leg goes. What you want to avoid is standing pretty upright and trying to lift that leg, or you're going to put some stress on the low back, which you don't want. Okay, so the bent over row, similar to the reverse fly, is shoulder blades back. This time you're just pulling straight up. Those elbows are going to bend at 90 degrees. Think of it like kind of like pulling up your pants. Jump lunges. All right, we know how to do a lunge. So you're just going to go into your lunge, jump and switch. Notice the angles. To modify this, step up and step back. Step up and step back. Or don't lunge as deep when you jump. Okay, then we have single leg side raises. So standing on one leg, you're gonna lift those arms straight up to the side. Now it's really important on any shoulder exercises like this, do not go past parallel to the floor. So don't go up here, stop when your arms are parallel to the floor, and it is a controlled motion. It is a lift. It is not a swing. Don't use your momentum, and get your body, or get your arms up there nice and slow and controlled. Lift them up. Flies, laying flat on the floor, weights overhead, and you're just going to drop the arms to the side. Don't let your hands touch. There's a slight bend in your elbows, just like the reverse flies, and bring the weights back up. I like to tilt the weights so that the bottoms are touching at the top. So it's a little bit of, it makes a V from your perspective. So open up. Make a V at the top. It just pinches those pectorals a little bit more, the chest muscles. All right, then on the other leg, you're going to do a shoulder press. So we're standing on the other leg now from what we did the, what was it? The side raises. And you're going to do a shoulder press. So the weights are kind of resting on your shoulders. You're going to press them straight up and almost touching at the top. They don't have to touch, but they can almost touch. So they will go in, your hands will go toward each other just a little bit. All right. Then we have V jumps. V jumps are always done on your forearms, always. So in plank position, you're going to jump your feet out to the side and back together at the same time. Okay? So you're down in a plank position, jump those legs out, back in. Notice my hips are staying in one spot. If you start noticing your hips sagging like this, there's a couple ways you can modify. Put your knees down and go out. Side to side, just step those feet out side to side slowly. Or you can do the same thing in a plank position on your forearms. All right, plank to plank, remember, it's just starting on your hands, dropping down your elbows, pushing back up. Full sit-ups, here we go. All right, start with your legs bent. Arms overhead, you're gonna drop back down. Use your arms in the beginning. Use your arms. Swing them to help you sit up. And then put them up overhead and squeeze that back so you're working your back as well. Okay, this is how you're going to start your sit-ups. As you get stronger, you won't need your arms anymore. And you can just sit up, but always squeeze at the top. Always put those arms up overhead at the top. And then to progress from there, straighten those legs. Start by swinging the arms again. Go back to swinging the arms. And then as you get more comfortable with the form of the sit-up, you won't need to use your arms for that either. Okay, side plank with hip drop. Side plank. Everything is stacked, including your shoulders for this one. Okay, here are the hand positions, the choice of hand position. You can have your hand in front of you, hips off the ground. You can have it on your hip, or you can have it overhead, okay? For the hip drop, we're gonna stay on our forearm. You can also drop this bottom knee if you need to. That's a modification as well, and do the different hand positions. Okay, for the hip drop, get that hip up off the floor and the shoulder is in line with the elbow here. All right, you're gonna drop the hip to the floor, lift it back up, drop it, lift it back up, and then do it on the other side. Side planks are very challenging if you've never done them before. So you can also just hold a side plank for 10 seconds instead of dropping your hips. Okay, and then tabletop swings we demonstrated in the first workout, so enjoy that.